Hello, my name is Simon Sizzle, aka Sister21. This is a short story that I have written called Whispers in the Dark. He sat there in the dark, resting. The whispers were growing louder again. He was glad of this. He knew that when the whispers reached him, it would finally end. He longed for it to end. The whispers had been with him for days, always following him, no matter what he did. During the day, he would not notice them. There was always noise around him. But when he was alone, in the dark, trying to sleep, that is when he noticed them. He first heard these whispers around a week ago. At first, they didn't bother him. They were very quiet, and the sound of the city was more prominent. The next night, they were a lot more audible. He wondered what it was. At first, he thought it was the TV that was still on, but when he checked, the TVs were off. He then investigated the neighbors to see if it was them, but they complained when he woke them up, so it was clearly not them. He just left it there that night, as it was a little annoying, but not so bad. The next night, he made sure all the technology in his apartment was off, and the windows were closed. Then he put on headphones and turned on some quiet music that helped him sleep sometimes. In the middle of the night, he woke up. The whispers were back. He could hear them over the music. The things that they were saying were horrible truths about him. He wanted them to shut up, but nothing he said would make them go away. They just kept taunting him with their words. He turned up the music to drown them out. The morning came after a long time, and the whispers faded away with the noise of the city waking up. All that day he looked at people suspiciously. Was it one of them who had cursed him with these voices that kept him up all night? But whenever there was a quiet moment in the day, the whispers came creeping back into his mind. That night, the whispers were even worse than ever before. At first, they were quiet and he could ignore them. But they grew in volume and he wanted to tear his hair out. He decided to run out of his apartment to get away from them. He found a busy street and the whispers were blotted out by its noise. He stayed here for a while and rested. But early morning came and the street quietened down, so the whispers came back. He started to run again, faster than before, but the voices always followed him, mobbing him like a murder of crows, driving him on further and further into the dark. The further he went, the more they came, saying their vicious things. He just wanted them to stop, but they never would. His breath came out in long, rasping gasps. He couldn't carry on, and his lungs were fit to burst. So he stopped and sat there in the dark to catch his breath. Now the whispers were slithering back towards him. They were getting louder and louder. He somehow knew now what they meant. He knew they were his end. When they got here, he would finally be at peace. He wouldn't have to struggle anymore. And he longed for this. So he got up and ran towards the sound, and was so ready to embrace it once he found it. The voices led him up the stairs to the roof of a building. They called to him now, muttering sweet words rather than bitter ones. He loved this sound, and he wanted nothing more to be with them, and they said he could if he just kept going a little bit further, and then they would be together forever. He did so, and stepped right off the roof. Peace came to him now, and he missed the voices, but soon all fell silent, and then there was a flood, and the darkness enveloped him. Thank you for listening.